Hi, it's Skip from Skip's Messy Workbench, and I wanted to just do a short lead in to the video that's coming up because it was the first time I tried to do a video of me actually building a section of a model, and it's the chassis with the wheels on the on the Back to the Future DeLorean, where the wheels go this way and that way, and this way and that way for driving and for flying. And the problems I've had with it, um, only because of the tiny parts, and I'll be honest with you, not accurately reading the instructions. Always read the instructions. I used to tell my students that all the time. When all else fails, read the instructions. Anyway, I just wanted to give a little lead into it. It's not a very good video. It's a little bit on the long side, and even after all the editing, I'm not happy with it. But again, I'm not going to reshoot it either. So you can fast forward through if you'd like. So anyway, here it is. Follow me down to the shop. It's amazing how things are a little backwards here, but follow me down to the shop and we'll get started. I'm also going to apologize for the background noise. It has been in the mid to upper 90s here in Pennsylvania with humidity about the same. So the air conditioning system, at least here, is running almost nonstop. And you can hear that in the background. And sometimes it gets a little loud. And then the clothes dryer kicked in too. So I'm sorry, you hear some background noise. But anyway, enjoy. I hope you watch it, even if you fast forward through a little bit, because I thought it was kind of neat the way this thing worked, or the way the mechanism works. And it was a little tricky, especially for somebody who's an old fart like I am. All right. So again, follow me down to the shop, and I'll see you when we get there. Thanks a lot. See you in a second. All right. All right, like I said, we're back here again, and so these two pieces right here are labeled rear with an R and F for a front. This little notch, so this is the rear, and this happens to be the rear of the car. Now, in order to get this together, this piece, which is the sliding piece, needs to go in at least on the rear, because there is a stem here which goes through this slot. So we're going to get this in there like that, and then on the chassis itself there are four little alignment pins that this guy sets into. So we'll put that in there. We'll get those on the alignment pins, just like that. We'll make sure this is going to slide, which it is. Okay. And then we'll put the front on. And the front simply goes on such that this slides through. And again, there's some small alignment pins, just like in the rear. That sets on. Okay, now that that's in there, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a drop or so of the Tamiya extra thin cement just to hold those things in place. So Let me just get a drop on there and on here. I want to make sure I don't get anything on the sliding mechanism because I certainly want it to slide. And then we'll make sure that that's set down there good, and we'll do the same thing in the back. Oh, we'll get a little bit there, and we'll let that in there, and some in there and some in there. Okay, so now that that's in there, and I see a lot of guys online just set that in the top there, but I always screw it down because I spilled one of these one time, and believe me, it was not an easy cleanup. Luckily, I mean, I have a tile floor here in this part of my basement. Luckily it cleaned up fairly nice, but still I screw it down. So anyway, that's that, and then this will slide back and forth, and this is actually the handle for it down here. And the next step, it tells you to put this little knob on there. There's a little knob here which goes on there, so that slides on there. So I think what I'll do is I'll just put a little bit of the glue on the top there, and I'll set that down on there like that. All right, now that that's done, so we've got that sliding mechanism. Now they're telling us in the instructions here that we need to put some grease on some points, and we need to put some grease, according to these instructions, we need to put some grease up in this area here. Oh, again, I'm trying to get more light and I messed myself up. Alright. We need to get some grease up in here and here, in other words, on the sliding parts, and then also here and here. So it came with a little thing of grease, and I'm just going to cut this where it tells me to cut it, and I have a feeling that's not going to work there, but I'm going to cut it right there. And then I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of this grease out. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on a toothpick is what I'm going to do. And let me get some grease on there. So we'll get some grease on here, on here. And then back on that other piece. Okay. All right, so that's where they want the grease. Makes sense. Okay, the next thing we have to do, I'm going to set this to the side a little bit, and then we have to assemble some of the slide arm, what they call slide arms. So the slide arms consist of pieces that look like this, and it doesn't matter whether it's left or right. What matters is that one of them you can see has raised areas and the other one does not, and they go together simply with some pins going into the holes. However, it actually does make a difference, because you have to match them at least so that they have a right, a rear, and a rear on it, or an R and an R. And at the same time that we're doing that, we need to put one of these front pivots in the front end, and that's these pivot points. So these pivots go in there like that, so that they pivot in there. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna assemble these four. There's four of them, and then I'm just gonna use a small drop of glue just to hold them together. So let's see here. We got another R. We have an F for front. We have an F for front. We have an F for front. An R for rear. A front. Okay, so I'm going to get these together because they assemble the same way as we've assembled that other one. So let me get what I need here. Okay, we'll get these together. Now that I have these together, I'm just going to again put just a small dab of glue just to hold them together. All right, now that we have that together, and we're just going to let that just set up a little bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, so let's get the chassis back here, and they say start on the front. So we have to find the front ones. That's rear. There's a front. And what happens is that these guys get placed in here so that the pin on this end goes in that groove. So we'll put that in there. Also, it says move this all the way to the back, and then that goes in there. We'll find the other front. There it is. And this goes in here. Honest. Okay. Now that they're in there, there is a holder for this, and they are looking like this. One is marked with an R and the other one's marked with an F for front. And what we want to do is we want to get this in there, and it doesn't look as if it's going to be a difference. And let's put this down. Like that. Again, we'll make sure this is all the way back. That's what it's saying. And And then they're telling you to take a screwdriver and pop those little ears in there. Now when I said those little ears, I'll use this one here in the back. That's these little ears in here. There's like a little catch ear on these legs. All right, so let me get a small screwdriver and see about putting those in position. Well, that wasn't hard at all. Okay. Assuming this side has to go in too. All right. So that's in position. Okay. So it looks like that's all in position. Let's see what the instructions have to say here next. And now we're going to do the same thing for the rear side. Actually, what we're going to be doing is we're going to move the lever of the back of the chassis to slide arm move in and out if the boss of the arm came out of the valve lever does not. Arm with hand fixed. Okay. So it wants us to move this back and forth, which we can do, and you can see the sliding mechanism that these slide bars are coming in and out, and it also wants us to put a little bit of grease on there, which makes sense to me also. So let's get a little bit of grease on here, and we want to get some grease down in here where this stuff slides. Okay, let's move this back and forth a little bit. All right. Now, what do we got next here? Okay, then we're going to be putting some arms in here. These little arm things right here. And these guys are going to, if you take notice here, there are, and it's very difficult to see, the lighting here is not good, but it's also black, which makes it harder. There is like a pivot point here. Let's see if I can, I don't know that it can be easily seen, but there's a pivot point in here, and the way it looks, those go in there. Okay, you can see I'm a little baffled here a little bit. Let me pause this out. Okay, I have actually been gone for a while because I broke one of these linkages while I was attempting to put it on, and right now I have it right here clamped up and being glued. So it's gluing. I don't know if it's going to be strong enough, but I'm gonna have to, because all I did right now is I put some liquid cement on there just to get it started, but I got to do something because there's a little bit of tension on these arms, and I'll show you why that is, and why I really couldn't do this on camera. Because first of all, these arms are different. When you look at these arms, I'm gonna see how I can. They're very tiny, especially for one of us old farts. I'm gonna hold this one, and you can see how close I can get here. You can see how this little C comes off the end of that rod, and on this one you can see how it comes off on the center of that rod. So they are different. These right here are for the front, these are for the back. And what they do is, if you look at the side that I have done, and again, this is going to be extremely hard to see. The side that I have done here, trying to get the lighting right. Again, this black is just not good. You know, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something here. That's not going to really work either. I thought maybe I can get more light on it, but that's not going to work either. So there is an arm, that control arm goes up in here. It gets mounted up inside here and gets snapped in, and then the arm goes through the fender well and comes down to the tire portion here and gets hooked in to the bottom of this where the tire axle goes. And it does that so that when you push on this, you can see that the wheels will move in and out. But also, again, this is very difficult to photograph. Mainly because of my lighting. So this pivots in as a normal wheel would be and out for the flying wheel. Okay, so sorry I'm doing this on camera like this, but I'm gonna stop there at least for now, and I'll be right back. I am going to see if I can get the front finished and also the rear. The rear is the same way, except that you have to make sure you have the right arms. I'm going to see what they call those things. They're just slide arms is what they're calling them. So just how you have the right ones. So I will be back shortly. Anyway, I finished. Well, I shouldn't say I finished, but I'm almost finished with the chassis as far as the wheels and stuff go. And this is, I had a problem in the fact that I broke one of these little tiny arms in here. Let's see whether we can see in there or not. There's a little tiny arm that's right in here, and I'll show you on the instruction sheet. And I broke one of those, so I had to fix that, and it got fixed. It's together. So the way this thing works is that right now the wheels are in, or would be, because you can see the axles here are pointing down. So the wheels, and I am working on the wheels right now. I'm just looking where here they are. I don't have the tires on them yet. But right now the wheels would be this way. So the car is meant for the flying version. On the bottom there's a knob here, and if you take this and push it, you'll see, and boy, I think you can see it, you'll see that the axles move to the outward position, so that now the wheels will be for driving. So that mechanism was a little bit time consuming. Maybe it's because of my age, but it was a little time consuming for me. You can see how it's possibly working. So anyway, that's was something I was working on. In the instruction sheet here, you could see where and how, what I'm talking about. Those little arms here, these little arms here, oops, are what make this go in and out. It pivots, one end of this attaches in here, and then this guy attaches to this point here, which down right in here, which makes that pivot, so that when these arms move, this pivots in and out, back and forth like that. Well, this is one, I broke one of them. Also, I had learned by sheer accident, I guess, not by accident, but by just not thinking about it, it's that, and here's how it goes in there and attaches in. And again, another view on how that arm works. So what I found out was that those arms are actually different. And I think I showed that in one of my videos, where the ones for the back have, if you see this, I keep getting off of camera here, sorry. The ones in the back have the C coming off more of the bottom, and the ones on the front come more like off the front. So anyway, that was a problem. I had to redo one or two of those because I had them on in the wrong location. Also, the wheels that came with the DeLorean really looked fake. I mean, they really looked fake. And so I was gonna paint them, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna put some black, I'm gonna run some black panel liner in there and make them a little bit better. Now, I'm not done with these yet, so that's what I'm doing on those, and then I'll be ready to put those on this chassis. So that's where I'm at. I'm sorry this video was really not very good, but I just wanted to let you know where I'm at. This is probably so far the most tedious thing about the build that I've come across, because of the tiny parts and the fact that they have to snap in, and they're delicate, and like I said, I broke one. So anyway, hey, that's it. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate you watching. Give me a thumbs up, please. It helps, and again, I appreciate it. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. want to thank you all for watching. And if you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. But, you know, I would prefer a thumbs up. And do me a favor. If you really liked it, smack that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I release new videos, give that bell a ring and set it to all. I don't release a lot of videos, so I won't be bugging you that much. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.